Hello and welcome to another episode of the Beer Chronicles. This is episode 6, I believe, and today we're going to be drinking Theakston's Old Peculier. This is another one that I've never tried before, so looking forward to seeing what it's like. Bit of a fizz. Don't want a repeat of episode 1. And we're good. So Theakston Old Peculier is an unpasteurised and cold filtered premium ale. Let's see if it's any good. Smells like a typical ale. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's alright, I quite like that. It's quite a typical tasting ale, but it does everything right. There's nothing I can point out bad about it. It's not spectacular, it doesn't blow me away, but it is nice for what it is. I can see myself enjoying one of these from time to time. Okay, a couple of production notes as well. First of all, I want to apologise in advance if you do ever hear any noises from outside, because as much as I'm going to try and talk when it's silent, there are children playing outside and I heard a dog barking at one point, so sometimes some of this stuff might get picked up and I can't cut it out without cutting myself out. So if you do hear any of that, then I am sorry, but I can't really do much about it. Secondly, I've finally set the lighting back up, so now I am well lit again. Well lit, in it, bruv. Ow. That's pretty good. That's all the production stuff. Before I get into the main topic of conversation today, I do want to briefly pay my respects to the family and friends of the comedian Sean Locke, who recently died. The day that it was announced that he'd unfortunately passed away was on the day that episode 4 of this series went up, so I haven't been able to put anything in an earlier video because that episode was already going up and the episode after that had already been filmed. So this is a bit late for me to come in and say something, but I really do want to just get the message out there that Sean Locke was one of the funniest comedians of the modern era of comedians. He was hilarious and an absolute inspiration to anyone looking to get into entertainment in general. His attitude towards just doing whatever to get a laugh out of people is truly inspirational. Doesn't matter whether it's genius or stupid, immature, a little bit controversial, none of it even matters. If it's going to make you laugh, then say it. That was his sort of approach that I picked up on, and I do genuinely think he was a hilarious person. One of the most witty and clever comedians that we had, and it is truly, truly a shame to lose him so young. Unfortunately, he died at the age of 58 to cancer, and it's terrible. My heart goes out to his family and his friends. Sean, I just want to say thank you for so many moments on both the TV panel shows you've done and in your stand-up comedy that have just made me laugh so uncontrollably. You were truly, truly a funny man, and I am very sad to see you go. Yeah, I just felt I should say something because I did truly, truly respect the man. And now I have to try and lead into the main topic of conversation of this video, and I don't really have a good way to segue to that, so we're just going to go straight to it. Today I have decided to talk about video game mascots. In particular, which of the console mascots is my personal pick for the best. And Really, there are many to choose from, so I'm just going to narrow it down to the big three. Pardon me. Mario, Sonic, and Crash. Those were the three big mascots of my youth, and I don't think anything after that has really come close to the appeal of those in particular, except for Pikachu, which is another Nintendo mascot. But obviously, Pokemon is such a big thing now that I no longer consider it to be a video game franchise. It is a fully multimedia platform now, to the extent where the games and the anime and the trading card and all the other spin-offs, they're all big enough to be relevant in their own right. And so I can't, in my mind, categorize Pikachu anymore as a video game mascot. He is a whole franchise mascot, a multimedia franchise mascot, not just video games. So that's why Pikachu is not in this list. Also, Nintendo already have Mario, so I can't deal them an unfair high hand. So yeah, those are the big three to me. And then obviously since then, Microsoft came into the whole video game sphere with their Xbox consoles. But in my mind, there isn't really an Xbox mascot that has ever reached, in my mind anyway, the status of the other three mascots. The biggest mascot in my head that they've had is probably Master Chief from Halo. And as much as that franchise has a massive fan base and people do love Master Chief, and I do get that, I really do, to me personally, he is nothing compared to the other three. That's just my thoughts on it. I've never been big into FPS games or just shooters in general. They're not the sort of games I play. I'm not very good at them, and I don't have a lot of fun playing them. But I do fully understand how and why other people love them. I can tell why fans of that type of game would go for Halo, but it's just never been my sort of thing. So for me, Master Chief never really stood out, and I can assuredly say that if he were to be involved in this competition, he will just end up last, just as a result of that, just because I have no connection to him whatsoever. Now, going into this, I haven't actually planned exactly how to go about, competing them against each other, nor have I actually come to a conclusion yet as to which one I think is the best. So I'm going to sort of make it up as I go along and decide in this video, hopefully, which one I think is the best of the three. To me, it mainly boils down to the character, the mascot themselves, and also the games that they are a part of. So we'll start off with the characters and their designs. Now, this is a difficult one to me because Mario is one of, if not the most recognisable video game character of all time. People who don't play video games know Mario when they see him. It's just such an iconic look. But in my mind, it's also the most boring of the three. Not to say that I think it's boring. I do enjoy the design of Mario. The little rotund Italian plumber with a thick bushy moustache. I'm all about that. But I just think that it's weird since Odyssey's come out and we've seen him next to actual human-looking humans and he just looks fucking weird next to them. But to me, the design of Mario is just too human that it doesn't appeal as much as the other mascots to me. I think in terms of just design, Sonic and Crash just aesthetically look better to me. But can I put Mario at the bottom of the list for design when his design is so universally recognised? I mean, to be fair, I can't really make this a list of which video game mascot has achieved the best and is the best based on everyone's sort of universal response to them, because it would just be a 5-second video of me saying, obviously Mario, and then that would be the end. This is about my own personal opinion, so I guess I have to put Mario at the bottom. That's just on design. That's not the overall where he is as a mascot. This is just based on purely design. Out of Sonic and Crash, I absolutely adore the design of Crash Bandicoot and the sort of, old toon vibe that they gave him and the other characters in his games. It is a really cool design, but at the same time, he is pretty much just a sort of alteration of Sonic. He's just another small, furry, anthropomorphized animal in shoes, and this time he's got shorts on as well. It's like they just took Sonic and changed his blue to the opposite of the colour spectrum, turning it to orange, and just said, yeah, we'll make our mascot. Sonic did well, so we'll just redo that and we'll just change him to the other colour so as not to be directly copying him. That's sort of what it feels like. I can understand it though, because in many ways Crash sort of feels like he's very much his own thing, but his design also feels like a bit of a parody, so that may have been intentional. But I can't give Crash the win for being a remake of a design that came before. So to me, I'm probably going to have to put the design of Sonic above the design of Crash. Also, even though I do love the look of Crash, I also love the look of Sonic. And I think, well, old school Sonic, we don't talk about Boom. We do not talk about Sonic Boom. But the original classic Sonic design, even if I wasn't comparing them on the fact that Crash is sort of a rip-off, if I just put the two next to each other and look at them purely based on design alone, Sonic still looks cooler. The blue design, the way that it stands out against the red shoes, the spikes, he's always got like a cool attitude. He is just a cool character, and it's plain to see why he stood out so much when he was first introduced into the world of video games, how he was able to compete with Nintendo, and why Sega were able to compete with Nintendo purely based on Sonic alone, pretty much. And all people had to go on before buying the consoles and playing the game were like the design of Sonic and the look of the game itself. And obviously there were other games on the console, but let's face it, Sonic was the one that was being advertised. And the design won people over, and Sega did really well against Nintendo in the war. Until Sega eventually died out, and now their games come out on all platforms, including Nintendo. But back when they were first one of the big console makers as well as just game makers, and it was really a war against Nintendo and Sega, Sega put up a hell of a good fight. In fact, as a child, I was always a Sega person rather than a Nintendo person. The home consoles I had were the Master System and the Mega Drive. I didn't have the Nintendo consoles myself. We had them in the house because my brothers had them, but my consoles were the Master System and Mega Drive. The only Nintendo console I really had was the original Game Boy, and then growing up I got like the offshoots of that, the Advance and all that. But yeah, for me, Nintendo was always the sort of, that was what I'd use for handheld, mainly for Pokemon. But I did play a couple of Mario games on there as well. But for me, home console was all about Sega, and it was all about Sonic. I had so many Sonic games on those original Sega consoles, and I had other games as well, but Sonic were the games that I played mostly. So obviously, and I can't, it was so far ago that I can't remember exactly how I got into it, but clearly Sonic must have stood out to me and had an effect on me. So yeah, in terms of just character design, I've got to give it to Sonic, and I know that people love the design of Mario and the design of Crash, and so do I, but I'm going to put Sonic ahead of them. But remember, this isn't what I think should be considered the best by everyone. This is my opinion, so if you disagree, that's fine, and I truly respect that and hope that you can respect my opinion as well. Now we should get into the games, and this is really going to be difficult. Like I say, from a nostalgia perspective, I didn't really play Mario games growing up because I wasn't playing the Nintendo consoles. I was playing the Sega consoles, and I was playing Sonic. I was a Sega boy until the PlayStation 1, and then obviously because I had a PlayStation 1, I started playing Crash games as well. So as a child, I grew up on Sonic, and as an older child, I grew up on Crash. And Mario wasn't really a part of my life when I was younger, so nostalgia really should dictate that I put Mario at the bottom. But at the same time, I'm not a child anymore, and after I grew up, I have gone back and played Mario games, and they are fantastic games. They really are. I think the most important games in my life, particularly in my childhood, the sort of games that, you know, made me a fan of video games, which really did influence who I am today, they are the Sonic games and the Crash games. And that's not just in this list, that is in all games in general. The Sonic games in particular, I think, really did influence who I am today, more so than any other game franchise ever, except maybe Devil May Cry. That is a big factor in this. But at the same time, even though those original games I have a personal love for, more so than any Mario game in existence, Sonic and Crash, in particular Sonic, have really gone the other end of the scale as well. They made some of the most fantastic games ever made, in their early days in particular. But as more and more sequels came out, the quality just dropped, and occasionally you'd find a hidden gem in there, but overall the quality sort of declined. And Crash has recently made a comeback, mainly with remakes of the original games that were good. But Crash 4 is fucking amazing. It is truly one of the... It's a toss-up between Crash 4 and Crash Team Racing, but in terms of platformer rather than kart racer, in terms of platform, which is what Crash truly is, Crash 4 is the best Crash game ever. And I don't say that lightly, but it's true. It really is. It's an amazing game, and if you haven't played it, then you owe it to yourself to get it and play it, because it is fucking brilliant. And Sonic, some of the old 16-bit and 8-bit games, truly phenomenal. And I know that the modern generation don't even... they mainly don't even know about those kinds of games, but I think they still hold up to this day. Sonic went on a major downcline as well, and I'm going to have to talk about Sonic 06. I don't want to talk about Sonic 06. I hate Sonic 06 with a passion. Truly one of the biggest mistakes of my life was playing through Sonic 06 on this fucking channel. That game was so bad. I originally started watching Game Grumps play Sonic 06. That was back when it was JonTron instead of Dan. And Aaron and John were playing through that game, and it looked so terrible, and I knew going into it that it was going to be a terrible game, but it seemed so hilarious as well. And I think, the fact that you're listening to Game Grumps as you play it sort of helps with that. And I thought it would be similar for us if me and Aiden play the game. Our banter and, the fact that it's so bad that you can laugh at it would make for a fun and interesting time. Even if the game was bad, we would have fun and hopefully make some hilarious videos out of it. But the game was so bad that you couldn't even do that. Sonic 06 is truly one of the worst experiences of my life. It was almost unplayable, it was that bad, and you really had to focus on what you were doing just to fight against the bad controls and game design just to get through each level. And it got to the point where we'd fail so much and we just wanted to get to the next stage, so we would have to focus so hard on getting through successfully and getting to the next part of the game that we couldn't put any effort whatsoever into focusing on ourselves providing entertainment during the game. So, you'd get parts where we were not thinking about what we were saying and half-assing it, or just, working on this game, not even playing, working on this game in silence to try and get through it. And all you got as a viewer was watching people who weren't being entertaining just playing a bad game, and that wasn't fun for us and it wasn't fun for you. And eventually, when my old PS3 broke and I did get it replaced with another one, so I've got a working PS3, I decided back then, like, the whole Sonic 06 playthrough had, that had been put on a hiatus due to, means outside my control. But in order to carry on with it, because I didn't have that save backed up anywhere, or like on the cloud or on a hard drive or anything, it was saved on the actual console hard drive, and I'd pretty much lost it at that point. So in order to carry on with that game, we would have had to wait until I'd got another PS3, which I didn't do immediately. And then we would have also, in our own free time, had to start the game from scratch and play back up to the point where we'd got to. And we just weren't willing to do that. I spoke to Aiden briefly about it, and when I say briefly, I didn't even give him a chance to talk back. It was brief to the point where I pretty much just said, we are not carrying on with Sonic 06. And you know what? The game was so bad that Aiden never put up an argument. I told him, eventually I'll get a new PS3, but we've lost the game save. We'd have to start again, and I'm not willing to do that. I'm sure you're not willing to do that. We're going to have to not finish the game. We are done with Sonic 06. And Aiden was like, yep, fine. I'm happy with that. That game was so bad. If you're talking about which franchise is better, you can't just talk about the best games and compare them to each other. You have to compare the worst games as well. Crash has some amazing games. It also has Crash of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant, and some of the portable games as well, which are all just awful for the most part. They're not all awful. I will take that back. But majority of the portable games are awful. The original 3 Crash games and the Team Racing, basically the Naughty Dog games, they're all stellar. Crash Bash, very divisive. I think it's okay. Not great, but okay. And then a few of the PS2 games after that, they sort of... they're not great. They don't hold a candle to the original trilogy and the original Kart Racer. But they're not bad. Just because they're not as good doesn't automatically mean that they're bad. So the next few games they're good, they're fine. But then, you got some of the portable games are atrocious, and Crash of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant is personally offensive to me. I really can't stand those. So yeah, those games really bring the average down. Sonic has some truly great games, and for the most part, that's the originals. Other than that, you got things like Sonic Adventure, Sonic Heroes, which is another divisive one, but I do like that, and Sonic Mania, which is one of the more recent ones, but goes back to the roots of Sonic and does it so good because it was made. It wasn't made by the proper Sonic staff. It was made by fans to be the sequel to the original Sonic trilogy that it deserved. And they did such a good fucking job with that. That was an amazing game. And Sonic Generations was pretty good. Sonic Colors I haven't played, but I know it's regarded as a good game. And I'm willing to believe that. Most of the others tend to be not so good. Pretty bad for the most part. And then you've got things like Sonic Boom and Sonic 06, which are some of the worst games ever made in the history of video games. That's not even hyperbole. Sonic 06 is the worst game I have ever personally played, and I say that as someone who has never played Sonic Boom. It is just terrible. I think the bad games in the Sonic franchise far outweigh the bad games in the Crash franchise. And the good games in the Sonic franchise, they have a personal meaning to me that is very special. But thinking a bit more objectively about it, I think the good games in the Crash franchise are probably better games. Crash 2 and 3, Crash Team Racing and Crash 4, they are better games than some of the better Sonic games. But the good Sonic games are still fucking fantastic, and they do mean a lot to me. But because of that, I'm probably going to have to put the Crash game franchise higher than the Sonic game franchise, mainly due to the abominations that have come out of the Sonic franchise. The Sonic franchise is just... it's a few amazing games thrown into a pile of shit, which is unfortunate, but that's what it is. So I think Crash is going to have to go with Sonic in terms of games, but while we're talking about Sonic games, I'm not sure how many of you will be aware of this, but as someone who played both Master System and Mega Drive as a child, the original Sonic the Hedgehog that came out on Mega Drive, if you've never played the Master System version, the 8-bit version, I do recommend going back and giving that a look, because if you've never played it before, you would be forgiven for assuming that they probably just ported the original game and lowered the quality. But that's not what the original Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System was at all. It was a completely different game. Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System had its own levels. Obviously, it still had a Green Hill Zone, but it had its own levels, and you would play through them. And obviously, not as many colours as the Mega Drive game, but it still looked nice. It was its own game with its own levels and played well. And the Chaos Emeralds were not picked up in special stages. They were hidden in the main levels, so you'd be playing through one of the levels and you'd have to find where the Chaos Emerald in that stage was, go find it and pick it up. And I quite like that mechanic to it. It rewards exploration, and some of them are hidden in places where you need a bit of outside of the box thinking to work out how to actually get it. It was good. I'm not saying that the Master System version was better than the Mega Drive version. The original Mega Drive Sonic the Hedgehog game that everyone knows and loves is a better game than the Master System Sonic the Hedgehog. But they knew that the Master System console was a bit more limited than the Mega Drive console, and instead of just trying to port that game and lowering the quality somewhat, they decided to lean into what the Master System console was and made a new game suited to it. And, you know, the Mega Drive one's a slightly better game, but the Master System one is still worth playing. And if you never knew that it was a completely different game, then it's worth going back and checking it out, because it was actually pretty decent for what it was. Now, the Mario games. This might surprise you. After everything I've said in this video about not really playing Mario growing up, I am going to put Mario at the top of this category, purely because after having grown up and not being a child anymore and having access to more consoles and also having access to emulators, I have, you know, I've gone back, I've played Mario games, I've played many different versions of them, and I enjoy them. They are great games. I don't think there's a Mario game that, to me personally, and I can understand that people who are fans of the franchise, they would probably see some of these Mario games as the, you know, some of the best games ever made, and I do fully understand and get that. I don't think, to me personally, to my own personal tastes, there is a Mario game that is better than all of the Crash and Sonic games. I don't think there is a single Mario game that is the best game out of all of these different franchises. I do think that some of the Sonic and the Crash games are better than the Mario games in general, but I find it very difficult to find bad Mario games. There are some truly great Mario games, and the rest of them are good Mario games. Nintendo know what they're doing when it comes to quality with their video games. The Super Mario Bros. Franchise is a very stable franchise. Whether it's just another Mario game that they've put out just to sell and make some money, or whether it's a game that they've put their heart and soul into making, you're gonna have a good game that's worth playing. Consistency is the word I'd use. The Mario games are consistently good throughout, and some of them have been revolutionary. I mean, Mario 64. What else needs to be said about Mario 64? A lot of people from my generation watching this just need to hear me say Mario 64 and they immediately understand. Anyone from a later generation may not fully understand, but Mario 64 really paved the way for 3D platforms. And by paved the way, I mean it was the first, so yeah, quite revolutionary. It's one of those rare examples as well of something being the first of its kind, so it really is just testing the waters. And normally you expect like the first one or first couple of these kinds of things that are, you know, a completely new idea, to sort of test it out a little bit and be like, okay, this works, this doesn't, and you can use that to work out the kinks and make better games then on. And obviously that did happen. But Mario 64, which was the first of its kind, was itself a great game and is still great to this day, even though the format has been improved upon since. It wasn't just an experiment that allowed later games to shine. It in itself was the first of its kind, but also brilliant. And that is very difficult to pull off, but they did it. And I haven't played every Mario game in existence, and I'm sure if I did, I could probably point out a couple that I'd go, you know, that wasn't so great, I wouldn't bother going back to that. But out of the games that I have personally played, I have never actually played a bad Mario game, and that goes a long way for me. I think the consistency of the whole franchise, which has been going on for a fucking long time, and there are so many Mario games that exist, but the fact that there are that many, and pretty much all of them, as far as I'm aware of, at least the ones that I've played, have all been good games. How could I not give Mario the top spot for this category of, you know, the games that Mario is a part of? Pretty much have to. So I gave Mario the bottom spot on character design, but I gave him the top spot on the actual, you know, video game franchise that he's a part of. Sonic, I gave the top spot on character design, but also the bottom spot on the video game franchises that he's a part of. And that means that Crash has been in the middle for both. So overall, who is the best video game mascot? This is really, really difficult to work out because, you know, I've done it in these categories, and what I've basically worked out is they are all the same on average. So how the fuck do I work out? Sonic means more to me. Crash has had the better games, and Mario has been consistently great throughout. Which do I think is the most important when regarding who is the best of all time? It pains me to say this, but I've got to admit it. Even though Sonic was a big part of my childhood, and it means so much to me, the fact that Sega died out, they don't make consoles anymore, they just make, you know, games now. They are just a third-party game developer for other consoles. That's got to factor into this. Sonic can't possibly win because he is a video game mascot for a company that doesn't even make video game consoles anymore. So he didn't do his job. And does also check out because, like I said, the best Crash games are better than the best Sonic games, and the worst Sonic games are worse than the best Crash games. So it's either consistency from Mario or extreme from Crash. So it's not gonna be Sonic. I have come to that realisation, and it kind of hurts because, like I say, Sonic was a big part of my childhood, but that is what it is. So it's between Crash and Mario. Best video game mascot of all time. What is more important to me, the extreme or the consistency? I'm gonna have to call it. If it was a case of which video game mascot had the best game of all time, then Crash would win, but who is the best video game mascot? Consistency is a major factor of that. And also the fact that even though Crash was a mascot for Sony, Crash now exists on the other game platforms. A Crash game comes out now and you will get it on like Nintendo consoles. The Insane Trilogy and the Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled and Crash 4, they're all on the Switch, I believe. So the fact that Crash is appearing on Nintendo, that gives Nintendo the upper hand as well. I'm going to have to call it. Mario wins. Mario is the best video game mascot of all time. That is my own personal opinion, but I think my own personal opinion has probably matched up with what the general consensus would be, because I imagine that if you were to objectively look at it, or even subjectively, but look at so many people's subjectivity that you gain a general consensus, it would always point to Mario. And I went into this knowing that in my childhood I've always been more of a Sonic and a Crash fan. So I went into this video not expecting to choose Mario. I thought it would be a toss-up between Sonic and Crash, and I'd have to try and explain why I'm not picking Mario. And in the end, I've chosen Mario. Well, this has been eye-opening to myself. This has been a massive, massive surprise. I'm truly shocked by my decision, but you know what? My logic is sound and I stand by it. I've spoken. Mario is the best video game mascot of all time. Yahoo! And to finish off the last few dregs of that, this is all timed nicely. I find this with a lot of ales in particular, even more so than lagers. Lagers tend to be, they're refreshing when you start drinking them, and then they're the same throughout. Ales are the sort of drink where you try it first and you taste all the flavours and you're like, yeah, I'm going to like this one, but then you don't truly like it until the end. The more and more you drink it, the better the drink gets. I liked it fine when I started, and it's just got better since. This was an okay drink. I actually really did enjoy this. First time I've had a Theakston Old Peculier, and yeah, it was good. I would definitely, I'd definitely have another one of those again at some point. It was really nice. Now to mark it off on the poster. And now I have the awkward job of taking a black pen and drawing over a black bottle. You know what? That still shows up alright. So that was Theakston Old Peculier, and it was also my thoughts on the best video game mascot of all time, and it's been really, really eye-opening for me. I quite enjoyed doing this video, actually. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it, and if you did, and you want to keep up to date with the rest of these videos as they come out, then please subscribe. That way you will be notified when new videos come out, and then to actually be notified when new videos come out, ring the notification bell as well. If you did like this video, then please let me know by clicking like down below, and if you didn't like this video at all, then feel free to press dislike. I won't be offended, and the information will be useful to me. Comment below what you think is the best video game mascot of all time, and also just video game characters in general that you really, really like. I mean, to me, they're not mascots, so I couldn't put Dante or Virgil in this list, but I adore them. So yeah, let me know what characters you like. Also, if you have any ideas for future topics of discussion for these videos, then let me know as well, because that would really, really be helpful. I've got to try and think of something to talk about for all of these beers without retracing things I've already talked about. That's going to be a challenge, so any help is appreciated. And also, I haven't spoken about this for a few videos, so I'm just going to leave a little quick reminder. There is a beer on this poster that I believe to have identified as Eager beer, but I am not 100% sure on that, because as you can see in the footage I'll put up here, it doesn't show much of the bottle. It is literally just the top and the neck, and the neck label is all I really had to go on, and that was how I got to the beer I got to, but I could be completely wrong. So if you do know it to be something else, please let me know, because if it is Eager beer, I can't actually get that beer because it doesn't exist anymore. I did go over this in the first episode, but you know, it's the sort of thing I'm gonna have to keep bringing up every now and then, because I want to get it properly identified, and maybe not everyone will have seen the first episode, so you know, sort of thing I have to keep bringing up every now and then, but I won't do it in every video. Anyway, this video is finished. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully you will watch the next one. If so, I will see you there.